turmeric, for example, and we have cumin. They have been brought from India. Rosewater is from Iran. So kind of like importing from many different countries and then combining them in their own way to make fantastic and delicious dishes like these.
Hello, welcome to Qatar 365 with me, Adil Halim. On this episode, we take a look at some of the elements that go into making Qatari cuisine. A famous chef once said, "A recipe has no soul. You as the cook must bring soul to the recipe." And that's something that all cultures do when they bring ingredients together. Go to any country in the world and they'll feed you food that gives you a taste of their life and their culture. Here in Qatar, it's no different. But how do dishes become local and how do they develop through trade with other nations? Charlotte Dubinsky came here to the Zakrit Peninsula to find out.
Back in the days when they used to grind the coffee, they used to use metal equipment. And then with a beautiful sound, so all the neighbors will know that this coffee is ready.
In the heat of the desert, a sip of Arabic coffee is always welcome, and it's also a sign of hospitality here in Qatar. Now, this coffee, though, is unlike anything you've probably ever come across before. It's yellow in colour, almost like a pale straw, and it has this creamy, delicate, light texture that's just got this hint of spice, and it's been expertly prepared by my guest, Khalid Al-Raiz. So coffee's not from Qatar. What makes this then uniquely Qatari?
So coffee from this region came from Yemen. It's yellow in color because they roast it very lightly. And then the main flavors comes from the spices that we add. You'll notice a hint of coffee. Then there's the cardamom, and then there's the spices that gives it the richness, and then the caffeine and the flavor as well.
Arabic coffee is a great place to start. Back in Doha, though, I have the chance to experience a whole range of local foods on offer. Randa Sheikh is my guide. Wow, this looks like an incredible spread. Could you just talk me through some of the dishes that we have here?
Sure. So this is machbous, this is saluna, this is madruba, and this is haris. Haris actually is one of the most Qatari dishes that takes time to make. It takes about 4 hours. It's boiled. It's actually haris seeds boiled, either with chicken or with meat. It's kind of similar to madruba in a way where you basically, with a wooden spoon, it's beaten and beaten and beaten till it becomes this kind of soft puree.
And these are all traditionally Qatari dishes?
Yes. There are many more, but these are 4 of the many traditional dishes of Qatar.
Now, each of these dishes has been influenced by ingredients that have been brought from other countries. Can you talk me through the nuances of what we have here and where the influences have come from?
Because Qatar was a desert, it was not self-sufficient. It was not able to rely on itself and had to import, different products from abroad. So we have like the spices that are common, like turmeric, for example, and we have cumin. They have been brought from India. You also have rosewater. Rosewater is from Iran. So kind of like importing from many different countries, and also the raw materials as well, like, rice, bread, chicken, meat, and then combining them in their own way to make fantastic and delicious dishes like these.
Back out in the desert, it's time for dessert. Over a hot fire, Khalid has prepared balalit, a dish made from noodles brought to Qatar from Asia. The local twist has been to add sugar and, to top it off, scrambled eggs. Oh, the smell is so good.
It's a bit crunchy comparing to the raw ones.
And there's no better way to cap the day off than another sip of that fragrantly delicious Arabic coffee.
Aromas and flavors that are common in Qatari households and restaurants have helped shape the nation's identity. But how did they get here? Laila Humaira takes a look at Qatar's ancient spice trade and the fusion of international influences.
Over the centuries, Qatar's traditional foods have been elevated by products from across the world. Spices like ginger, star anise, and black pepper sailed over the seas from the Indian subcontinent. Garlic and cumin crossed the desert from the Levant. while lumi, a dried lime, traveled up from Oman. And while these items have become staple ingredients in Qatari cuisine, there's still a big appetite to continue looking over the borders to bring in more varieties of spices and food.
The Katara Summer Trade Fair is one way of doing that. Every year, hundreds of vendors gather from all over the world to display and sell products from their home countries, including vibrant spices, international food, and even oud, jewelry, and handicrafts.
Held over 2 weeks, the trade fair gives both locals and residents of Qatar a chance to try many international delicacies and hopefully bring them home. Yunis Galab is a master spice mixer from Yemen. He's been coming to the Katara Summer Trade Fair for more than a decade, and every year he's proud to bring the best products from Yemen, including what's been called liquid gold.
احنا بنجيب دائما العسل اليمني رقم واحد من اصلا من دوعان، العسل السدر والعسل السمر، والبهارات عندنا بهارات خاصة نتميز بها للخلطات المكبوس اللي هو الخليجي، وأيضا نسوي الرز الأبيض.
A few stalls away, Siham is encouraging people to taste a sample of her products. The 78-year-old is a nutritionist by profession, with a passion for making all sorts of organic food. From cheese to olive oil to bread, all produced at her rural farm in northern Lebanon.
الايتم تضل اورجانيك وفريش. اول شيء لازم تكون عندك بالمزرعه، بدك تهتمي بالمزرعه وبدون ما ترشي مواد حافظه. يعني نحن بس بنحط زبل الماعز. ليش؟ لانه زبل الماعز صحي، ما في مواد حافظه.
Siham says her products not only offer a natural taste, they're also great for our overall health.
هيدي العشبة والزعتر هيدي عجيبة، بتشيل جراثيم المعدة، بتغسل القولون من الرواسب القديمة، بتشيل ارتجاع المريء، بتنظف الزلعوم، بتفتح الرواية. حتى الأطفال إذا كانوا مقربين أو عم يسألوا أو عندهم وجع بطن أو مغص، فيني يحطوا لهم ملعقة صغيرة بالحليب بالشاي. عجيبة رهيبة.
Whether it's organic cheese from Lebanon or honey from Yemen, for traders like Siham and Yunus, many will be back next year and sell their delicious wares.
Food is your paint, so be creative. That's the motto of Noor Al-Mazroui. The Qatari chef used her own food allergies as a launching pad to experiment with traditional recipes. Chef Noor has invited us into her kitchen to show us how she creates healthy versions of popular Qatari dishes. So now when you think about Qatari food, what immediately comes to mind?
Qatari food, delicious food, yummy food, healthy food as well. I know it sounds surprising, but it is healthy when you cook it on the right way. And it's food for family.
So you're going to make chicken majboos for us. Can you tell us about the significance of this dish?
It has lots of spices that when you eat it, you don't know what kind of spices are in there. And I think each one is having their own recipe because it doesn't have like the specific ingredients that you have to follow. It is like more with the taste. Some people like to add onion, tomato. Some people like to add more turmeric. Some people like to make it a little bit more spicy. So it is like a space where you can be creative and share your love of food.
So you mentioned the spices. So how much impact have these spices that have been brought to Qatar had an impact on, majboos and local dishes?
I think if you go to Souq Waqif, you will see like heaven of spices. And every time we went there, we saw like new spices. So it's nice to explore as long as you are keeping the original recipe the same.
So you keep the base and then you kind of work with some...
Keep the base and be creative, and as long as it will be majboos. Like for example, we didn't used to have the majboos vegetarian. But why would the vegetarian or vegan people will not eat the majboos as long as you can keep it at the same way?
So the spices smell great. Can we get started with some of this?
I can't wait. This is my favorite part.
So for you growing up, were these traditions passed down from generation to generation?
I think the first time I saw the majboos was we were going to a trip in the desert and my grandmother was there. She was like putting her big pot and putting everything inside. I told her, what are you doing? How did you do it? She said, everything you put inside, it will give you majboos. And then I keep watching her, and she taught me that this is the way how you do the Qatari machbous.
I'm sure there was a method to the madness. Right?
Yeah. I saw the method. This is what I like about the hot kitchen and these recipes, that you feel free. You don't feel to follow, and if you miss something in machbous, you cannot be wrong.
So now you're taking these traditional dishes and making your own twist to it. What changes are you making to the modern palate?
Some people want different kind of carb, want healthier carb, complex carb. So I tried to do it with the quinoa and the buckwheat. It was very nice. It was surprisingly nice. I followed the same recipe, and the texture was different, but I crave it.
So now some of this creativity is out of necessity because you have food allergies, right?
Yeah.
So you had to be creative.
I like to think about food accessible for everyone. It should be accessible. No one should go to a restaurant or see a dish and cannot have it. Like if I want a cake, I cannot have it because I'm gluten-free or I'm vegan. I should have it. If I see machbous, I'll miss out machbous the rest of my life because I'm vegan or I'm vegetarian. So I feel it's your right to have the food and do it on the way that suits your allergies. So I'm giving them the food. I'm reaching a bigger community with my recipes. And I'm keeping the tradition as well. So Adil, are you ready to try the machbous?
I think I'm ready.
Here you go. You can enjoy our Qatari machbous for today.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
I'm happy that you enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to your machbous. You have to cook it. You have to try it.
From learning about all that goes into traditional Qatari recipes to discovering new twists on old classics, we hope you enjoyed what we cooked up on this episode of Qatar 365. And that's all the time we have for now. For more, check out Euronews.com and connect with us through our hashtag. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Qatar 365.